An ordinary day in a primary school in L'Aquila, central Italy. An ordinary day, but not an ordinary school. It's a temporary education centre constructed following the earthquake which devastated the city in 2009. 5 years on, there's no permanent structure, and patience is thin on the ground.
The temporary nature of the school is becoming clear. The vents, heating, condensation, the children have breathing problems. For the past 5 years, we've tried to deal with and react to the emergency. But we don't want this emergency to continue for another 5 years. Enough!
Però non vorremmo che questa emergenza durasse ancora altri 5 anni. Basta.
It's a sentiment echoed all over the region that still bears the scars of the quake, which left 309 people dead and 70,000 homeless. Thousands of people were relocated and housed in temporary apartments, built as part of the emergency response to assist the population. Pierluigi has been living in one of the biggest of the temporary housing units of the so-called CASE project, which groups around 20 villages, built in only a few months on the outskirts of the city of L'Aquila. The building's limitations are all too clear. Damp, poor materials, bad insulation, and the grievances mount. This winter, they received their first heating bills in 3 years.
Many here are left with heating bills of 5, 6, 7,000 euros. Where are they going to find the money? We're asking the city council to challenge those that built and installed these inadequate energy systems that fail to meet standards. Those responsible must pay the difference.
The technical failings of the construction companies are numerous and at twice the going rate. This temporary housing unit is now abandoned on the edge of the city. Constructed in a flood zone with a total disregard for safety, it's been placed in receivership, along with 2 other similar developments. More than 100 families had to be evacuated to other temporary accommodation. Anna is still furious.
The materials used were already deteriorating back in 2009. The wood used for the pavements has not been assembled. The street lights, touch them, they just placed on the ground. Some of the houses' roofs split open and the rain poured in people's homes. The constructors and others have been before the courts. I think they just spent a few days under house arrest. And as always happens in Italy, they haven't paid a single euro.
Cases of shoddy workmanship and embezzlement charges linked to the post-earthquake response appear regularly in the Italian media. Last November, MEP Soren Sondergaard, a member of the Budgetary Council Commission at the European Parliament, released a controversial report. According to him, part of the 493 million euros from the EU Solidarity Fund allocated to L'Aquila, including emergency housing, was paid out to companies linked to organised crime at inflated prices. The accusations have been highlighted by the anti-mafia organisation Libera.
At the time, there was a number of amendments and exemptions in the laws, including the laws on tenders, which resulted in an easing of controls, and this has encouraged companies with links to organised crime. And corruption is taking root in a wider society, and the proof is we no longer receive complaints. But we must take care, as the ones we do could be from competing mafia-connected companies.
Engineer Antonio Perotti has long complained about the problems which he witnessed at first hand as a former member of the Civil Protection Committee for Demolition. Urban development and technical concerns were not the main criteria for signing deals.
There was an opportunity to indulge in some dodgy deals. They handed out contracts to go-betweens for the removal of rubble, demolition and unnecessary and excessive shoring up of the buildings in L'Aquila.
Estensivi come quelli che sono stati fatti qui nel capoluogo, nella città di L'Aquila.
5 years on, the reconstruction of the medieval city is far from complete. There are few people in the deserted streets of the old town, and the noise of the building work echoes round. There's scaffolding everywhere. There is further controversy over the cost and quality of the material used to support the old buildings. Seismic engineers doubt that they will survive another quake. That's without including the many residential buildings that are being restored at a very high price.
I danni strutturali in particolare sono talmente ingenti da rendere
the damage, and structural damage in particular, has gone too far to be able to restore these buildings. They should have been demolished and rebuilt immediately. It would have allowed the population to return home earlier. It also could have reduced relief costs and the cost of constructing temporary housing.
According to the mayor, it will cost €5 billion to rebuild the city. But money is in short supply. And this is the mayor's main concern, more than any corruption accusations. Since this interview, his deputy is being investigated for graft. But when we met, the mayor directed his anger at the EU.
Noi abbiamo trovato il modo di prendere I soldi per ricostruire.
We found a way to get money for reconstruction, and we need a lot. But for the moment, the government is not giving it to me. We could, for instance, borrow money from a number of banks to repay over 40 years. We would then exceed the 3% rule set by the European Stability Pact. But if a country is hit by a natural disaster, how is it possible that Europe will not allow it to break the pact so it can repair the damage? It's inhuman. It's shameful.
We rejoin Pierluigi, and despite everything, there's light at the end of the tunnel. After 2 years under construction, his former building will soon be complete, fulfilling all security requirements. It's here he lost everything on April the 6th, 2009, and despite that, he's determined to live here again with his family.
Il mio sogno è quello di risvegliarmi.
My dream is to wake up here in the morning on April the 6th in my house. I want to wipe out all the bad memories here and finally get my life back that was taken by nature 5 years ago.
Dalla natura, ovviamente.